4 years. That's how long the FBI hunted a man who was 17 years old when he started. DARKWIRE, real stories from The Wire. 17. Living with his grandmother in Lisbon while allegedly draining $400 million in cryptocurrency from victims across 3 continents. His name hasn't been formally charged in a single indictment. That's the point. While co-conspirators like Robert Powell, Ellis Pinsky, and Nicholas Truglia faced courtrooms and cameras, the alleged architect stayed invisible, a ghost running the most sophisticated SIM-Swap network Europe had ever seen. Born in Lisbon in 1994, he grew up in the Mouraria district, one of the oldest and poorest neighborhoods in the city. His father ran a small auto repair shop on Rua do Ben Formoso. When Portugal's economy collapsed in 2009, unemployment hit 17.5% by 2012, the garage went under. The family moved twice in 3 years. By the time he was 15, the boy had one reliable constant: a second-hand Acer laptop his uncle left behind, and an internet connection fast enough to reach the world. He wasn't reading tutorials about web design. He was in the forums, the ones that don't show up on Google. By 16, he had taught himself Python and social engineering basics. By 18, he understood something most people his age didn't. The weakest point in any security system isn't the software. It's the person answering the phone. That insight would eventually be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The digital underground connected him to others who thought the same way. Ellis Pinsky, a 15-year-old from Irvington, New York, who would later be nicknamed Baby Al Capone by investigators. Nicholas Truglia, 21, operating out of Manhattan. And Robert Powell, known online as R Dollars, and El Swapo 1, a Chicago man who would eventually be identified as the ringleader of what federal prosecutors called the Powell SIM swapping crew. They weren't a corporation. They were a loose, paranoid, highly effective network of young men who had figured out that mobile carrier security was held together with duct tape and minimum wage employees. Here's exactly how the attack worked. Step 1. Identify the target. The crew focused on cryptocurrency investors, people whose entire net worth existed as digital tokens secured by nothing more than a phone number and a password. They scraped LinkedIn, Twitter, and crypto conference attendee lists. Michael Turpin, a veteran tech investor and co-founder of BitAngels, was exactly the kind of target they wanted. Public profile. Known crypto holdings. Phone number findable through basic OSINT. Step 2. Acquire insider access or execute a social engineering call. The crew maintained a roster of corrupted mobile carrier employees. Sources confirm at least one AT&T insider was paid $500 per completed SIM swap. When no insider was available, they called carrier customer service directly. The script was rehearsed. They would claim to be the account holder, say they had just purchased a new phone, and request a SIM transfer. Carriers asked for account pins, but those were easily obtained through prior phishing attacks or purchased from data breach dumps selling on dark web markets for as little as $3 per record. Step 3. Execute the transfer. Once the carrier employee, bribed or deceived, entered the command, the victim's phone number was live on the attacker's SIM card. The victim's phone went dead. No signal, no warning, just silence. Step 4. Drain the accounts. With the phone number now ringing on their device, the crew triggered password resets on every account tied to that number. Email, cryptocurrency exchange logins, two-factor authentication apps. The one-time passcodes went straight to them. The window was narrow, sometimes less than 20 minutes before a victim noticed and called their carrier. 20 minutes was enough. Between October 11 and December 6, 2018, a span of 56 days, court documents allege the network executed at least 28 successful SIM swaps. That is one every 2 days. Each hit yielding anywhere from tens of thousands to millions of dollars in cryptocurrency, transferred out through mixer services and converted to Monero to obscure the trail. Michael Turpin's loss alone totaled $24 million in a single night. Turpin described the moment he realized what had happened as watching your house burn down and being locked outside with no fire department to call. He contacted AT&T immediately. The carrier confirmed a SIM swap had occurred. Nobody could explain how it had been authorized. Turpin later filed a $224 million lawsuit against AT&T, arguing the company had failed to protect his account despite a prior SIM-Swap attack months earlier, an attack he had specifically warned them about. But here's where it gets worse. The FBI had been reading Powell's encrypted messages for months before the arrest. Agents from the Chicago field office, working alongside the Department of Justice's Computer Crime and Intellectual Property section, had built a wiretap operation that captured Powell coordinating swaps in real time. They watched him direct crew members. They watched funds move. They waited because they needed the full network, not just one node. On January 30th, 2024, they moved. Agents arrested Robert Powell at his Chicago residence at approximately 6:15 in the morning. Court records described the apartment as containing multiple laptops, burner phones, and a notebook with handwritten lists of target names and partial account credentials. Powell was charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, and unauthorized access to protected computers. The indictment named co-conspirators including Colorado resident Emily Hernandez, alleged to have physically walked into carrier stores to execute fraudulent SIM swaps in person, presenting fake IDs at the counter. Truglia had already been processed. He pleaded guilty in December 2021 to a single count of unauthorized use of a Binance exchange account, a plea deal that infuriated Turpin. "I am outraged," Turpin told security journalist Brian Krebs, that after nearly 4 years and hundreds of pages of evidence, the best the prosecutors could recommend was a plea bargain for a single, relatively minor count. The judge sentenced Truglia to 18 months in federal prison and ordered him to pay $20 million in restitution. He was 25 years old at sentencing. Ellis Pinsky, who was 15 at the time of the Turpin hack, making him essentially untouchable under juvenile prosecution statutes, was identified by investigators as a key architect of the original attack. He was never criminally charged for the Turpin theft. He later settled a civil lawsuit with Turpin for an undisclosed amount. He was, at the time of the hack, a sophomore in high school. The Lisbon operator never appeared in a U.S. courtroom. European authorities were notified. Interpol was looped in. But as of the time of this documentary's production, no extradition has been confirmed, no charges publicly filed under his name. He remains, officially, a person of interest. In the wake of the arrests, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon all quietly updated their SIM transfer verification protocols. Several carriers introduced mandatory in-store ID checks for SIM swaps. The FCC opened a formal inquiry into carrier security practices in February 2024, the same week Powell's indictment was unsealed. None of that gave Michael Turpin his $24 million back. Every empire built on a stolen phone number eventually runs out of insiders to bribe and customers to fool. Most of the crew is gone, sentenced, settled, or disappeared into legal proceedings that may take another decade to resolve. But somewhere, on a rooftop or in a rented apartment with a view of the Atlantic, there may still be a name the FBI hasn't filed charges against. A SIM card, a carrier employee who needs $500, and a target who thinks two-factor authentication makes them safe. It doesn't.